When managing assets in Azure, you are responsible for keeping track of all resources, their security posture, and their compliance status. Without proper security controls, you could lose visibility over unprotected virtual machines, misconfigured storage accounts, or expose identities, making your organization vulnerable to attacks. To keep your Azure assets secure, you need to implement strong security controls that ensure visibility, access control, compliance, and monitoring. Before you can secure your assets, you need to know what exists in your environment. Without full visibility, attackers could exploit unmanaged or forgotten resources. In this case, you can use Azure Resource Graph. Using Azure Resource Graph, you can get a real-time inventory of all resources, including virtual machines, storage accounts, databases, and identities. You can enable Azure Policy for asset compliance. Using Azure Policy, you can define and enforce policies to ensure only approved assets are created and correctly configured. And you can tag and classify assets. You should apply resource tags to group assets based on sensitivity, business units, or security level to track and manage them efficiently. Controlling who can access and modify your resources is crucial. You don't want unauthorized users making changes that could lead to security risk. In this case, you should use Azure role-based access control. Using RBAC, you assign least privileged roles and ensure users and applications only get access to what they need. You should enforce Microsoft Entra conditional access. Using conditional access policies, you can apply multi-factor authentication and location-based access controls to protect critical assets. And you should enable just-in-time access for virtual machines. Using services like Azure PIM, you can prevent permanent access to VMs by granting temporary, time-limited permissions. To prevent and detect threats, you need continuous monitoring and automated security controls. You should use Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Using Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you can get real-time security recommendation and threat detection for your all Azure resources. You should enable Azure Monitor and Log Analytics. You should collect logs from all assets and set up alerts for suspicious activities. And you should apply network security controls. You can restrict unauthorized access to assets using Azure Firewall, Network Security Group, and private endpoints. You need to enforce security policies to ensure your Azure assets comply with regulatory and industry standards. In this case, you should use Azure Policy to enforce compliance. Azure Policy automatically applies security rules like disabling public access to storage accounts or requiring encryption for all disks. You should monitor compliance with Azure Security Benchmark. You can align your security controls with industry best practices like NIST, ISO 27001 and CIS benchmarks. You should run regular security audits. You can use Azure Purview or Microsoft Defender for Cloud to audit assets and identify misconfigurations. Even with strong security, disasters happen. So you need to back up and recover your critical assets when needed. In this case, you should enable Azure Backup. This will protect your virtual machines, databases, and storage accounts with regular automated backups. You should use soft delete for backups. This will ensure backups are not permanently deleted immediately, which will give you time to recover lost data. And you should create disaster recovery plans with Azure Site Recovery. You can set a failover and replication for mission critical resources. Bottom line, you should get full visibility of all Azure assets with resource graph and tagging for better control and management. You should control access using RBAC, conditional access, and just-in-time access. You should monitor and detect threats with Microsoft Defender for Cloud and Log Analytics. You should ensure compliance using Azure Policy and security benchmarks. And you should protect assets with backups and disaster recovery plans. By implementing these security controls, you ensure your Azure environment is secure, compliant, and resilient.